Welcome, everybody. Roadburn special. By now, we're already a few days in, so you know how this goes. We are talking with some people behind the scenes, which make it possible that Roadburn is always the best of experiences every year. And also is part of that whole immersive character of Roadburn. So I'm very, very happy to have Jurgen van der Brand here. Jurgen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. And you get the same question that everybody in this whole thing gets first. What does Roadburn and the festival, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, that's not an easy question. As you know, I was one of the founders with Walter back in the day. So it used to mean, I think, more to me because I was basically, it was living every day. I was living with Roadburn basically. If it wasn't like the bands, it was the production side, or not that I was that involved in the production side, but there was always questions coming up, or Walter calling me and saying, "Hey, this is going on. What shall we do?" That was till 2015. After that, I kind of left the festival and I went on to do basically other things. And Walter kept on doing the festival with other people besides him now. So now for me, it's become more of the business side is more important to me, and at the same time the social side. I meet a lot of people that I don't meet during the year. I mean, I still go to a lot of concerts, but obviously people from abroad come to Roadburn and I meet them there. So that's always very nice. And for my label and mail order, it's also a big weekend in the year to sell. So it's still a great for me. Roadburn is still a great event, but I'm less involved and immersed in it during the year than I used to be a few years back. I always look. I mean, I'm not involved in any way anymore. I talk to Walter now and again, but to be honest, we don't talk about, hey, what bands are coming up or whatever, not really, more personal stuff or other stuff that comes up. But I'm still curious as what direction they will take this year. I mean, or last year or the year before or whatever. So it's always a surprise to me to see, hey, what have they come up with? Of course, I left the festival, so it wouldn't be my choices 100%, which is logical because, well, I'm not involved anymore, so it can be 100% my choices. But yeah, every year there's stuff that I don't know or see and think, oh, this is pretty great. So for me, it's a musical discovery festival. It still works pretty good.
How do you remember the first years of Roadburn, the founding of it, and those very first initial years?
That's what is it? Yeah, 20 years ago, 25 years ago even. I think 98, 99 should have been the first smaller versions. I mean, I think in 98 there was a few bands. Then 99 we had 6 bands with Cathedral, Orange Goblin, Terra Firma, and Beaver 3507, so some Dutch bands. So that was kind of, let's try it out and we'll see what happens. We like those bands. We see they have a connection. We were one of the first, certainly in Holland, and maybe it turned out later also abroad, who brought these bands together. Yeah. But at the time it was just trying out basically. Certainly the first few editions. And then in 2005, it kind of got serious. We had Nick Turner's Hawkwind, and we had some good stuff in the green room, because that I think was the main thing at the start. We switched from smaller venues to bigger venues with 3 halls in the O13, which I think was a big change. And luckily enough, it worked, basically. I mean, we had people over. We had already people over from abroad. And that kind of surprised us. I mean, of course, you can sit in your room, or I could talk to Walter and say, hey, would it be nice to have these bands together because they have a similar spirit, or It's people we knew because we had interviewed them before for a magazine we worked for. And then you put it together and you notice there's people coming from whatever, Germany or even further out, starting to visit the festival. So it was a surprise, a nice surprise, of course. With it, after that, it got bigger and bigger, and it sold out even quicker the years after that. So there was also a bit of a pressure going on. Plus the work, of course, the workload got way bigger. I mean, just putting a few bands on and saying, hey, we like these bands, let's put them on. It's simple. But if you get like the responsibility for a whole festival, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, then it gets something else also during the year. I mean, there were times you're already thinking about the next festival while that festival of that year still had to happen.
Yeah.
So, because there was people playing that you might want to speak to about next year.
Yeah.
So it got more of a, like, it became a proper project basically. And it took more and more time, but yeah, I remember that I remember it positively, to be honest. Yeah, a lot of
cool.
Met a lot of cool people, also not so cool people, but yeah, that's, I mean, at a certain time you have like 30, 40 bands a day, so yeah, you get all sorts basically. Yeah.
Of course. What is striking to loads of people who come to Roadburn for the first time is the quality of sound. And that is also something that struck me the first time I was there, because I've never been to a festival which has in general such a great variety of bands, which one might think leads to some kind of mushed up sound construction. But every band at Roadburn gets exactly the sound they need. Do you think that's also part of the whole experience, this amazing sound?
Of course, because people come for the sound, the music, and if a sound sounds muddied or excuse me, or is otherwise it's not loud enough, it's not clear enough, the contrast isn't there, then you get another experience. As when, I mean, basically what people are looking for is transcendental experiences, that you're in a hall, everything falls away, you're looking at a band, and that's all there is at that moment. You're not thinking about anything else, you're just immersed in the music. So if the sound is perfect or near perfect, that also helps, because otherwise, I mean, certainly as a seasoned concert goer, you think, the low end is, yeah, I'm hearing something, but I don't feel it, or it's way too, the high end is way too loud, or whatever. But that's, I think, one of the also the quality factors of Roadburn is that we have, or well, not me anymore, but the Roadburn has 013 behind it, which also is I mean, it's a venue. It deals with all kinds of bands during the year, all kinds of genres, from jazz to death metal, black metal, whatever. So they're used to it. Plus another aspect of that sound is that Walter normally, because it's not my forte, to be honest, Walter goes out of his way to get people the amps and material on stage that they need. So they're happy, they're providing a good sound, and then it's up to the audio engineers to get that sound across to the audience via the PA. But all is kind of how do you say that? All things are there to make it a success, basically. You communicate with the bands in front of before the festival, and say, hey, what do you need? What works? What doesn't work? And then on the day itself, it's during sound check that you kind of make sure it sounds as good as it can, basically. So.
And now we come to something that I hope most people know, but you are basically the guy responsible for that wonderful, can I call it a series, or you know what I mean? It's this Live at Roadburn series of releases. How do you pick the artists for that series?
Yeah, it's not that I say, hey, I like these bands, so let's put it out. It's always a conversation with bands.
Yeah.
Some you meet after some years and you say, hey, we still have those recordings. Would it be interesting to have a listen and see what's if it's interesting, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not all bands consider their gigs the best that they did on that tour or whatever, or certainly when you speak to them right after the show, then they say, that guitar solo didn't go on right, or the drummer missed a beat over there. And when you just play the show, then you're still into it and you think, we're not going to do anything because it wasn't perfect. And then after a few years, well, they get kind of a distance to that set they played. And then you email them and say, hey, I got a low quality version of the set. Would you be interested in listening to it and see if there's something there? And a lot of the times, say 75%, they think, there's a bit of distance behind it. They say, the atmosphere is there, the quality of recording is there. So let's do it. Like with Acid King, for instance, that's something I don't think Laurie would have agreed like 1 week or a month after the gig. But now there's enough distance between the set when they played and now that they say, it's interesting. Or UFO Mammoth, or those kind of bands. After a while, and we still have a big archive of recordings. So it's also one more. There's someone at the door. Can I just go?
Yeah, of course you can.
Was it? Oh, okay.
We'll cut it out later.
That
we'll only cut this little bit until you walk in with a vinyl. So you were talking about the big archive.
It's that new The Nest album that Wolvenest did. Van just put that out. And I never know if I get them, but I kind of want to keep my Roadburn collection complete. So I ordered it a few days ago. It's already here. So gonna listen to it after the interview.
So you were talking about a big archive of recordings that you still have.
Yeah.
Can you say which one you're hoping for, or is that not to be disclosed?
The release, you mean?
Yeah, for like from that archive, which of those would you like to publish?
Well, there's still that Icelandic cooperation, the Olsmessa. I know there's some problems among the not really personal problems, but there's some factors that make it not easy to release.
That was 2018, right?
Could be. Yeah, I'm not big on years or whatever. For me, it's kind of a blur. But if you say 2018, that seems about right. But it's that combination of all those Icelandic.
That was a Sunday. I remember that. I remember that was a great
90-minute set. That would be something that's been done in Iceland once. It's been done in Roadburn. Never been released in any way, so that would be something I would be interested in. I'm also talking, which it's not really a secret, but to people like Brent Björk, who did in the beginning a few sets, 2007, 2010. I think there's 3 sets available. I think this will happen. That's also a factor, of course. You're talking to people, they're touring, can't focus at that point at something, so it gets to be a long-term process, which is fine. I mean, it's not that I'm in a rush, but that's also like bands like Weed Eater or whatever that we have sets of that I would like to release. And some bands are simply too big or too that they want to do it themselves, which is also fine. Yeah.
Are there also sets where you say it doesn't make sense to release it? I'm thinking of that Bellwitch Mirror Reaper complete set a few years ago. Would something like that make sense to you?
It would make sense if it's in some way different. Basically, I did it with the Yacht album, the Mismore album Yacht, like with Roadburn, which in a way, Lion said it sounded better and it was more crystallized than the actual album was. So then you have a reason to say, hey, let's put this out. But normally doing an album, which for Roadburn, I get it. It's a perfect opportunity to hear that album from A to Z. But for a release, it's less interesting. I'd rather have tracks from all parts of their band's career together in a coherent set that works better than a classic album live, for instance. So that would be less interesting for me. Or I think I've seen that set, and I don't think there was that much. There were not extra personnel or whatever, other people playing with them or something like that. So it has to be something that makes it unique, basically. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes you also have to leave out certain songs, because I'm very sure that while I was watching Stephen Brodsky and Adam McGrath 2018 or 19 perform that acoustic set for Caleb Schofield's tribute, I'm very sure that they did a song which is not on the record.
You mean a cover or?
Yeah, a cover version.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have the rights, or you don't want to take the risk to have those bigger companies contact you and say, hey, did you use a song of ours? Well, that's
it's very nice, but give us the money. Yeah.
So there can be reasons not to include the whole show. I can if you are able to get the vinyl version, there might have been a 7-inch in there that might contain a few songs that might, sound like those.
I'm not going to say anything about that. No. Can you say which of the Live at Roadburn sets sold best? Or was most successful?
Well, that depends. I also, to make it more complex, I also have released some sets only for the Roadburn Festival itself, like Godflesh Street Cleaner, that still sells, that just got a re-release on Back on Black. The Body and Tau release, an Ulver release. So those sold the best, but that was also because they were limited edition. Basically, there were only like 500 copies pressed. An old Job set, I did some stuff. So those sold pretty good. But if you're talking about longevity, then you're talking about, Wolves in the bigger bands, basically, Wolves in the Throne Room, or what more?
Neurosis, probably.
I'm sorry?
Neurosis, probably.
Neurosis also, but with bigger bands, it's mostly I get a one-time license for a pressing, because it's mainly their material. So then it kind of stops. So for Neurosis, we did 2 pressings, I think. And then Steve said, it's fine. They still have the CD, I think, and they have the digital. So that's, I mean, with every set, it's different circumstances and different agreements with bands.
So the other thing that you've already hinted at, and that I also want to talk about when we talk about immersive experience, is the huge amount of money that people, including me, spend on merch, on vinyl, and all of the things that you can get at the festival. You always set up shop with your own label, and you do not only sell the Live at Roadburn stuff, but also your own other stuff. How important is Roadburn for you as a seller?
Well, you can say for me, it's the biggest weekend of the year. I mean, I sell, if you're looking at those 4 days, I sell the most. I mean, normally you sell via the internet, or you go to a few other festivals. I sell at Desert Fest sometimes, or here in Holland we have Sonic Whip and Soul Crusher. I sell there, which are also good. But Roadburn has the most people who are interested in that kind of music that I carry, basically, and have the money to buy it, basically, which is also important. I mean, the vinyl business gets more and more a rich man's game, to be honest, which is not something I like. I mean, I'd rather have 1,000 people listen to the music because they can afford it than 200 who can only buy the limited expensive version. So that I think is a pity. I mean, there's some rising costs involved. I get that,
of course.
But I see the majors really saying, hey, we got a reason to raise our prices. So we're gonna do it whatever, a record that you used to buy for 12-13 euros, you can as a label or as a mail order is now 20 euros. So we're talking about ridiculous raising of pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, to be honest, that it's sustainable for the coming. It's the same with the CDs.
Yeah.
They used to get way too expensive for what you get.
Yeah.
I mean, there's exceptions with beautiful executed albums with nice sleeves and
Of course.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have those quality items that are still worth the money, but a lot of it's just a single sleeve album a single album that you pay 30 euros for at least.
Yeah.
I think that's not the good development, to be honest, of the last few years.
Have you ever thought about releasing stuff on certain somewhat cheaper formats like tapes?
I have done a few tapes through the years, but it's not something my heart is in.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a tape player myself. I mean, I have a record player here. I used to have a car that had a tape player in there.
Yeah.
I played some tapes then, but yeah, it's not something. I mean, I try to do stuff that I really like, that I'm enthusiastic about, and tapes is not something. Sometimes I work with used to do it like Tartarus, someone from Holland over here had a tape label.
Groningen, right?
Groningen, yes, way up in the northeast. He used to do a few things for me on tape that I released on other formats, but it's not something my heart is in, as I said. So then for me, it makes no sense to do that.
Yeah, and it also only makes sense if you can produce so many that the costs are low, right? So it's always about the cost and price level, right?
It's also always a balance. Yeah.
Can you say maybe in percent how much you sell at Roadburn? Do you like sell 5% of like a complete year-long sales at Roadburn, or is it only 1%? Is it more? Can you estimate?
I can do a wild guess. Yeah, it's between 5 and 10%, I think, of my yearly.
That's good.
Yeah.
That also shows the importance of a festival. And now something, I'm very sure you've seen that, and I just want to quickly have a statement and then something about the festival again. So a few days ago, Igor, this wonderful French band, posted something online where they said they will not sell merch at certain venues in the UK because the venue just takes so much, or takes such a big cut off of that. First of all, how do you feel about Igor and other bands also clearly saying, okay, because of that, we don't sell merch? Can you understand that?
Of course, I understand that. Yeah. I think the percentage they're talking about is 25%.
Yeah, they were talking about 25.
Yeah, and then you have to sell it yourself, I think, or not, or.
Yeah. You have to sell it. They would have had to sell it themselves. Yes.
Yeah. So I know for a fact, at Roadburn it's the same rate. When I did it, it was lower, but I see in the community, like the last few years, all venues kind of go to that percentage, 20, 25. The smaller ones, sometimes you can sell for free. It's not new, basically, is what Igor is doing. It's bands have been doing that for a long time. Also, I think it's an economical decision. They think, hey, if we sell for whatever 5,000 euros and we have to give the venue
12.50. Yeah.
12.50 for that. To be able to sell. And you say, hey, if we do it outside, we make 4,000 or whatever, and we keep it ourselves, then it's more interesting to do it that way. I mean, it's not only. I mean, it's partly a business decision, and partly is a kind of a protest and saying, "Hey, look, this is where it's going." I get it from the band kind of view. I also get it from the venue kind of view, point of view, because they say, "Hey, we're giving you the possibility to play here. We're giving you the possibility to sell here, so we get a percentage." I mean, we can discuss if 25% is a good percentage, or it might be a bit, which I think I would say also that it's a bit high. But yeah, if you have a good tour manager or whatever, he will do the math and say, yeah, this is not interesting for us, because, well, we're making mostly money for other people and not for ourselves. So yeah, why would we do that, basically? So
Can you say how many percent or how big is the cut at Roadburn that you have to give them?
I think it's all 25, but it gets sold for you.
Ah, yeah.
So you basically give the boxes at the beginning of the day, and you get them back minus what's sold, and you get paid.
Yeah.
But there's personnel, so you don't have to hire personnel people or whatever. So that's included.
But then for somebody like you, or also like Andreas from Excel on Mainstream, do you also have to give them a cut?
No, we are vendors, or we are part of the market. Basically, we're not bands. We just pay a fee to sell there, a set fee. Yeah. Because I mean I have like in the store I have like 2,000 unique items. There would be no accounting possible, or they have to hire someone for that to do that. So that makes no sense for a festival. With bands, it's simple. You have 3 vinyls and 3 CD or 3 CDs and three versions of T-shirts.
Yeah.
Well, that's easy. So it's I'm not 100% in the corner of the band or in the corner of the venue, but there has to be an in between. And if the balance goes too much to one side, like the venue, then you get protests and you get people complaining. And rightly so. I mean, see what they can get out of it, basically.
Yeah. Also, both sides, what they get out of it.
Yeah.
2 last questions. Is there anything special that we can expect next week? When, I mean, like 1 week from this interview, Roadburn will start. Is there anything special that you will bring for the nerds like me?
I have one disappointing. There's no special Roadburn record this year, sadly. I mean, I love to have one unique item this year available that's only for sale at Roadburn. But looking at the bands of this year, there was no band that I knew personally that I could approach and say, hey, can we do something together? I mean, last year with Ulver, Chris I've known for years, so that was kind of easy to get that done. I'm trying to get more stuff that isn't out yet, or that's the Southern Lord will come with something for Record Store Day that I will already have. So I will make a list of what special items I have that you can't get anywhere else yet. But that will be the main thing. There will be sadly no unique Roadburn vinyl this year.
It's a little better for my wallet.
Oh, okay, that it is. But for me, it's
I like
to do that kind of stuff. But it wasn't possible. That's also the reality we have to work with. Yeah.
And then you get the same last question as everybody else.
Okay.
Can you give me the 3 most memorable Roadburn gigs that you've attended?
One I released, that was Chelsea Wolf in 2013, I think. I didn't. I liked her. I liked the first two albums, and then she kind of got more of a black metal, dark atmosphere going.
Yeah.
And I was at the side of the stage, so I was fully immersed in what she was doing. And Ben, her keyboard player, and who writes the songs with her. And that was like from start to finish. That was brilliant. Same with Nihil, the Dutch band, with Vincent and Michiel, who sadly passed away a few years.
Also already several years.
Yeah. That was also a very memorable show. Same standing. I mean, that's also the immersion. You're standing on the stage, so you're basically surrounded by the instruments that make the noise that you're hearing and that you like. So that was also great. A third
one. Last one.
Yeah, last one. Okay, let me think. I mean, there's lots of shows that I liked through the years. I mean, I liked Hawkwind in the beginning. Yeah, there was, if I can call it, it was in 2006, I think, was the Green Room. There was like Alabama Thunder Pussy, there was High on Fire, there was Sun. Who more? There was 3-4 bands just playing No, not back to back, because there has to be a change. But I think I always, when I talk about Roadburn, that's the night that in the green room 2006 that kind of made Roadburn, because there was people were standing there, they stayed the whole night and got 3-4 record gigs that were great, the one after the other, with bands of course that have proven themselves through the years. Let me check which other band that was. Were you there already, Torsten, or not yet?
No, not yet. No, not even that. But that was, I still remember that lineup, and that was the first time when I saw that lineup, and I remember thinking, oh, maybe soon. Yeah, and that was one of those instances. You all also know that you hear about an event and you see a lineup, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, that could be it.
I like this. Yeah. Maybe it's 2008. As I said, I'm not big on years.
And it's also interesting, the 3 bands that you already named, Alabama Thunder Pussy, High on Fire, and Sun, that is also something that I think is very characteristic of Roadburn. You know, you have 3 bands that are, by outsiders, all referred to as metal.
Yeah.
But when you are in our little niche scene and look at those 3 bands, you would never ever throw them into the same blender.
No. Alabama Thunder Pussy is the Southern Boogie. Sun is the Frequencies game.
And High on Fire is just dope.
That's just Motorhead only.
So which 4th band was it? Did you find out?
I don't. It might be Orange Goblin, but
that would, in a very strange Roadburn kind of way, that would fit.
Yeah, strange. There was a Wikipedia page that had all the bands on it, but it disappeared. I looked a few weeks ago, and all the lineups were gone. So I don't know what happened there, but well, I can't look it up anymore.
If we find it, then we'll post it right beneath this one. Jurgen, thanks for all the time. Thanks for those highly informative details. And see you in a few days.
Okay, see you there.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.